Good evening, viewers. We interrupt regular programming with breaking news that is shaking the very foundation of America tonight. Former President Barack Obama has reportedly been taken into custody under direct orders allegedly signed by Donald Trump himself. The world is watching, the nation is stunned, and the halls of power in Washington, D.C. are in absolute chaos. Sources close to the situation claim that former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard has come forward, unveiling what she describes as sealed charges that could rewrite history and expose shocking layers of political corruption. While we must stress that none of these details have yet been independently verified, the implications are staggering. Cameras outside Washington's federal complex show heavy police presence, armored SUVs, and sirens echoing through the Capitol's darkened streets. Social media has erupted with hashtags like #Obama arrested, #Trump orders, and #Tulsi files. If true, this would be the first time in U.S. history that a former president has been detained by direct executive command. Legal experts are already calling it a potential constitutional meltdown, while others hail it as the dawn of long-awaited accountability. Let's start from the beginning. Around 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time, unverified reports began circulating on encrypted channels suggesting that federal agents had entered Obama's Georgetown residence under an undisclosed warrant. Minutes later, eyewitnesses described a black motorcade leaving the area with tinted vehicles moving at high speed toward an undisclosed federal facility. Meanwhile, online, a video surfaced from Tulsi Gabbard herself. In the clip, she holds a thick folder marked "Confidential" and claims she possesses proof of illegal operations conducted under the Obama administration, including secret funding networks and unlawful surveillance programs. Her statement ends with a chilling line: "Justice delayed is justice denied." The American people deserve to know. Back in our studio, analysts are calling this unprecedented. One constitutional scholar describes it as the single most explosive legal confrontation since Watergate, multiplied by 10. If President Trump, now again commanding the executive branch, directly ordered the detention of a former president, it raises deep constitutional questions. The U.S. Justice Department traditionally operates independently, yet tonight's reports suggest a chain of command directly linking the White House to enforcement action. Across Washington, officials are scrambling. Democratic leaders have called emergency press conferences, labeling the move an authoritarian attack on democracy. On the other side, Trump loyalists argue that no one, not even a former president, is above the law, claiming this proves that the deep state is finally being dismantled. Public reaction is equally divided. In downtown D.C., hundreds are gathering in spontaneous protest, while thousands flood social media with calls for transparency and peace. As the clock ticks past 8 p.m., speculation intensifies. Federal court websites have gone down, White House press offices remain silent, and military communications show signs of heightened security status. Several air traffic monitors report temporary restrictions over key federal buildings, a sign, experts say, that the government is bracing for unrest. Rumors swirl that Supreme Court justices have been called into an emergency session to review the legality of the move. The question now: was this arrest authorized by a judge or executed under executive emergency powers? Inside the Justice Department, leaks tell of furious debate. Some prosecutors reportedly refused to sign arrest warrants without judicial review. Others claim sealed documents dating back years were reopened under a top-secret legal clause. If true, this would suggest months of covert planning, possibly even before Trump's return to office. The Tulsi files, as they're now being called, may hold the key. Gabbard has promised to release everything to the public if Congress does not act within 24 hours. She claims to possess declassified evidence linking top officials to what she calls shadow government operations. Critics accuse her of spreading conspiracy theories, but millions online are treating her as a whistleblower hero. Meanwhile, global reactions are pouring in. Foreign leaders from Europe to Asia are demanding clarification. The United Nations Security Council has reportedly scheduled an emergency midnight meeting, concerned about domestic instability in a nuclear superpower. Stock markets in Asia opened sharply lower as investors panicked over America's political turmoil. In Moscow and Beijing, state media are broadcasting wall-to-wall coverage, calling it proof of America's internal collapse. Back in Washington, the streets grow more tense. Protesters carry signs reading, "Free Obama," while others chant, "Lock him up." Law enforcement lines the barriers between rival groups as flashbangs explode in the distance. Helicopters hover low over the National Mall. From our vantage point, it looks like a Capitol on edge, a democracy at war with itself. At the same time, inside the White House, sources say Trump is preparing a national address. Staffers describe a somber, determined mood. The president reportedly told aides, "No one escapes justice, not even the powerful." If that statement is genuine, it signals a direct political showdown unlike anything in modern history. Lawyers for Obama have not yet spoken publicly, though one former advisor hinted on social media that the full truth will come out, and those abusing the law will regret it. Legal experts expect a wave of emergency motions, habeas corpus petitions, and injunctions to be filed before sunrise. The Supreme Court could be forced to intervene within hours to determine whether the arrest was constitutional. Inside our studio, former DOJ officials are debating whether this action could hold. One analyst says if Trump used executive emergency powers citing national security, it might technically bypass conventional procedure for 48 hours. Another insists that any detention without court approval would be unlawful, and that federal marshals could themselves be charged for carrying it out. The tension is palpable. Every minute without an official statement deepens the mystery. Tulsi Gabbard, speaking live moments ago from an undisclosed location, doubled down. She claims the documents she holds were provided by patriotic insiders who could no longer stay silent. She describes them as evidence of unlawful surveillance, foreign collusion, and covert transfers of power during Obama's tenure. The former congresswoman insists this is not about politics but about restoring transparency. Her words have triggered a media storm, and reporters are now demanding that she produce the evidence publicly. Meanwhile, both major political parties are locked in emergency meetings. Some Democrats are reportedly drafting articles of impeachment against Trump for abuse of authority, while certain Republicans warn that the move could provoke widespread unrest if not managed carefully. Security has been tightened at every federal building in Washington. The situation outside the Supreme Court is escalating rapidly. Thousands of protesters, dozens of riot police, and conflicting chants filling the air. News drones capture scenes of confrontation, but also moments of prayer as groups kneel, pleading for peace. Commentators call it the darkest night in American democracy since the Civil War. Now, as the story develops, leaks hint at the existence of an executive memo 447A, allegedly signed by Trump this morning, classifying Obama as Subject Alpha-1, and authorizing temporary detention pending judicial review. If this document is authentic, it could either validate Trump's legal claim or expose an unprecedented abuse of power. The memo's authenticity remains unconfirmed, but analysts are already dissecting its supposed wording online. In the midst of this chaos, international allies are calling for calm. The European Union has released a statement urging the United States to uphold democratic standards and judicial independence. The Pentagon has quietly raised its alert level, though military leaders insist this is purely precautionary. Intelligence agencies are monitoring online chatter for potential threats or coordinated unrest. As the broadcast continues, we are receiving word that a federal judge in D.C. has scheduled an emergency hearing within the hour to review habeas petitions filed by Obama's legal team. This means the legality of his detention could be determined before dawn. The outcome will either affirm Trump's authority or mark the fastest judicial rebuke in modern history. Legal scholars warn that if the court rules against the president and the White House refuses compliance, the United States could face an open constitutional crisis. The stakes have never been higher. Across the nation, Americans are glued to their screens, half in disbelief, half in fear. Some see justice finally served, others see democracy unraveling before their eyes. Businesses are closing early, airlines report sudden cancellations, and the world wonders, what happens next? Tulsi Gabbard's promised full disclosure is expected at midnight. Her team claims they will stream the documents live to millions worldwide. If the documents are genuine, they could either justify the arrest or destroy its credibility entirely. It's a digital battlefield now. Facts versus misinformation, power versus legality. As midnight approaches, the White House remains silent, the courts prepare for emergency review, and the world holds its breath. Whether this moment becomes a turning point toward justice or a descent into chaos will depend on the next few hours. For now, America stands divided, uncertain, and anxious, a nation staring into its own reflection, asking what kind of republic it still wants to be. This is Breaking America, and we will stay with this developing story throughout the night. Subscribe, stay tuned, and remember, in moments like these, truth becomes the most valuable currency of all. Good night, and may justice, wherever it lies, prevail.